Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today a It's Time to Party birthday card with Fawn's Tea-rrific Day stamp set and add-on, as well as MFT's Outside the Box Mini Slimline box card. So to start, I die cut all of my pieces. I am using Fawn's Spiffier Speckle 6x6 paper pack here with that blue, and then of course just the non-spiffier green speckled one from that paper pack, and then of course some close to my heart solid cardstock. So I'm using Indian corn blue, and I want to say it's the juniper color cardstock for this one. I'm not positive though. I could be wrong. So the spiffier speckles, because they're 6x6, it doesn't have a coordinating pattern on the back, and it's white, and I didn't want it to be totally stark white for my box card here. So I did bring in the bundled Sage Distressed Oxide and just kind of did a light ink blending onto the inside piece there. I wasn't too concerned with it being a smooth blend or a solid blend, any of those things. I just needed it to not be stark white. So that was the color that went the best with that colored cardstock. So that's how I did it. So I did do double-sided score tape on the flaps here. I have made them since then, and I don't know if you're using liquid adhesive, if you really need the double-sided score tape there, because the liquid adhesive will hold them together fairly well. But usually when I do box style cards or interactive style cards, I like to double up my adhesive anyways. But you know. So for this one, I actually closed the side flaps on to my little bands here. I don't know, what do you call them? Like the runners. I don't know. The shelves. We'll call them shelves. The shelves that kind of run across the front of the box card to hold your images on. And I tried to line it up as best I could, making sure it was, for the most part, parallel to that bottom line, throughout. So this front piece here is cut with that spiffier speckle paper. It's not very heavy cardstock. It's probably like that 65-pound weight cardstock, at least that light green sheet is. And I would definitely encourage you to go with a little bit heavier cardstock for those side pieces and that front flap. It's just a little flimsier than I like my cards to finish up as, and so that was one thing I noticed with that spiffier speckle light green. I don't know if the blue with the gold fleck is as lightweight as the other. I guess I really didn't pay attention, and being that it was backed with the cardstock, I guess I really didn't notice it. So there's that. So I'm just going to line this up on the other side here, as you saw, and then, yes, I cannot get these to close properly. So here I'm lifting everything up and trying to wiggle it so it's going to lay flat, thinking it's going to lay flat both ways. Nope, it still won't lay flat the other way. I have no clue why. It just is what it is. So I did only have 2 in here at this point. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what I did wrong. Like, why? I still haven't figured out why it doesn't lay flat. Maybe it only lays flat one way. I don't know. Does anyone else have that issue? It's probably just me. So I've already cut out my images like 2 years ago. I'm not even lying on that one. So I cut them out. I colored them and cut them out like during fieldwork season in the fall. Like after the set came out. So yeah, it's been a little while. I decided I needed another tier in my box card. So I did add in a third one off camera. And then, I started to build my little table here and go from there. So the colors for these, I did them in the tractor 2 years ago. So we were hauling bales off of the field. And so what that entails is Jaime sitting in the tractor and moving the hay rack down the field as my husband would load them. And then we'd come back into the yard and he would unload them. Well, there's not a lot for me to do when they're unloading. So I'll go push feet ahead, or I'll do other things, little things. But a lot of times I would just sit in the, because I have to move ahead every 10 minutes or so. So I would sit in the tractor and kind of color images, little images, working one at a time and kind of going, or one color at a time and kind of, you know, picking and choosing what I'm doing and going that way. It's usually I just get really good practice coloring in that respect because, you know, I'm doing little bits and pieces and it's not that big of a deal. But that's kind of when everything got colored. I do have a color swatch. I don't know if it's on my blog or not. These were colors that I'd kind of picked out for, I think it's the New Day paper pack, possibly, from Echo Park. If I can find it, I mean, I have the color match, so if I get around to doing but they're the old colors, like the Ohuhu original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbering system. So if I can get around to getting a new color swatch chart done with those colors, I will post it on my blog, but no promises anytime soon. So I know it's sitting there. It's one of those things that's on my list to do. So anyways, back to my card. So I kind of added all of my images, added, you know, the little tools and cups and servers to hands as I saw fit. And, you know, bringing in the little X-Acto knife to kind of cut parts so, you know, they can hold the cups or their hands look like they're around. And that little squirrel that was holding the nut, and then now he's holding the teapot. Yes. Hello, Jessica Squirrel. That is you. Yes. So kind of, well, you know how cards kind of like have a story to them, and this one just kind of had a story to it as I was like creating it. So Kate is, for some reason, Kate is the rabbit with the little hat, and she's got the cake server. And then I'm just sitting there with my fork and, you know, my cup of tea. It's probably spiked, but that's besides the point. So I'm just kind of adding all of my images there, making sure everyone has a teacup that is sitting around the table. And then for my front piece here, I wasn't exactly sure. I thought about doing like a separate strip there, like a sentiment one, and I decided to pull in Henry's ABCs. They fit perfectly on the front, like top to bottom, perfect fit onto that front strip. See, it was just a match made in crafty heaven, you know? Yeah. So I did cut out an extra I, or AI, I guess I didn't need it for anything else. I snipped a little piece apart, and that'll be my exclamation point for my sentiment here. And then I will just adhere all of the letters on. I kind of, you know, lay it out beforehand, make sure that it's going to fit with what I want it to fit. And kind of in my head have, you know, the full meal deal plan before I go too far with it. So I knew I wanted to do the little letters on a stamped piece of paper, you know, in front of this one. And so I was just kind of doing a little bit of tiny measuring there to see how much room I needed. I wasn't, you know, I guess I could have planned it better and had it all ready to go, but that's just, yeah, it's me. That's how it works. So I did grab a piece of scrap there to put the little dash in. I can't even tell you what it came from. I don't think it's from the I. It's probably like the inside of an H. It's usually what I end up using for those little hashes. So I did stamp this out twice. So I did do VersaFine Onyx Black, and then I did the Evergreen Bow Distress Oxide, because I wasn't exactly sure if I wanted it to be black or if I wanted it to kind of be more tonal and kind of a quieter. And so I stamped them both and then decided later. So I did want to do the happy birthday to you sentiment on the background, like they're singing. I think I did Stormy Sky for this one. Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. It's been a couple of weeks since I made this one. Oh, it's all coming back to me now. Okay, so I'm bringing in Avery L's little sentiment strip, or simple sentiment strips there, and I will die cut my sentiment from that. But I end up deciding, I'm cutting it apart because it's just a little too long. Even if I would have moved my party together a little bit more, I still think it would have looked funny. So I ended up cutting it apart. I tried to do it with the the guillotine cutter. Yeah, I should have just gone with the scissors right away. I ended up scissoring it straight because it's such a small little piece. And so once I have those cut apart, I'm just going to kind of line them up, overlapping a little bit here, and then tucking them kind of onto the front. I struggled. Yes, I did. So once I'm happy with their placement, I will push them all down in place. And then I still had some pieces left. I am trying really, really, really hard to kind of use up my pieces. And so, you know, adding little touches onto the sides here. So I could have put the little mushrooms on the same flap as the little squirrel, but I decided they'd be really kind of cute on the side just as an accent. And so that's where they kind of went. And then, of course, I added some of the extra teacups and the sugar and the cream pitcher kind of just off to the side. I know there's some already on the table, but I just felt that they worked well to just kind of add that little bit onto the side. I don't know. Better than throwing out colored images or saving them for something that I'm never going to get to, you know. So my hot tip would be, like, if you color like I do, I have tons of stuff that's colored, but sometimes I color things for specific purposes and then I don't get to them. I like to put those in little containers, either the little photo containers, or my son likes the extra gum that comes in the little container, which works perfectly for already cut out styled images. And then, you know, write little notes to either color combos that you might have used or what your original card idea was. Sometimes that card idea changes. I did add a squirrel holding a coffee pot on or a teapot on this one, which was not in my original plans at all, and I was not planning a box style card with this one. So, you know, ideas change, but sometimes having those pre-colored images really saves time, especially when you don't always have the time to color things when you want to create. So for the back, I die cut another piece like the front and did all of my stamping on it, and then I will hear it after I fill it up. Bye!